lining up to see her. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something that features. You'll find her.
Okay, guys, I had to put Sincere down. It was just not gonna work with him. But I know you guys miss him. I know you guys really want to see him. I'm gonna be doing more videos, like more like small vlogs with mostly showing him when he turns 6 months, which is in like 2 weeks. I'm gonna do like a little 6-month vlog update for him, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of stuff with him, so you guys are gonna see him very soon. Don't even worry about it. Anyways, so today's video is gonna be a breastfeeding Q&A. I've been wanting to do this video for so long, but I'm finally doing it. I have a lot of questions. I put them all in my notes. I have 26 questions. This video is really for everybody, like even if you are not gonna have a child anytime soon, or you know, this video is for everybody. But I really want to encourage people who are pregnant, or if you're currently breastfeeding, to, you know, stick to it, or to choose breastfeeding. Kind of, I'm not gonna knock anybody who formula feeds or who wants to formula feed, but I'm just gonna let you guys know a lot of people, like, they don't have anybody to teach them on the subject of breastfeeding, so they're going based on Google, and they're going based on other people, like people who formula feed or people who go by that model, fed is best. But I mean, like, yes, it's good that your baby is fed, but what's best is what's best for your baby, which is breastfeeding. I'm not gonna sugarcoat or anything. If you're pregnant and you're planning on formula feeding, just keep an open mind, and this might convince you to breastfeed. If you guys notice that I have on the same shirt and I look the exact same in 2 of my videos, like back to back, that's because I recorded 2 videos in 1 day. So yeah, anyways, let's get straight into this video. So I'm gonna answer the most commonly asked questions first, because a lot of people ask the same questions, which you guys probably already know. So the first question is, does breastfeeding hurt, and if so, for how long? So breastfeeding does hurt. Everybody knows, like, you know, in the beginning, I say the first 2 weeks it hurts, and then, you know, the pain like slowly goes away, and then after that it does not hurt. It doesn't get sore or anything. The first like 2 weeks to a month is really hard, but after that it goes way more smoother. It's a lot easier, no more pain. So yeah, it does hurt in the beginning. It's not a horrible pain. Some people say that it's horrible, but it's not a horrible pain, but it does hurt. But after the baby is like sucking for a while, it kind of gets numb, so you don't really feel it. Anyways, yeah. The next question is, does it make your breast sag? So actually, I looked it up last night because I wanted to make sure that I have the correct answer for you guys. And it said breastfeeding and pumping does not make your breast sag. But if I'm being honest, it does. And that's why a lot of people choose not to breastfeed, because they don't want their breast to sag. But it's like, it doesn't, well, at least it doesn't matter for me. It doesn't matter for me if my breast sag, because my son is getting the best nutrients ever that anything else in the future cannot provide. So I'm gonna do what's best for him. It does make your breast sag, but like, what's so bad about saggy breasts? Like, are you gonna stop breastfeeding when he starts growing teeth? You guys, I've been contemplating on this so much, because he's teething right now, and teething means they're growing teeth. And so I'm like, I don't know. But that kind of goes into the next question, which is, how long will you breastfeed for? Before I had him, I wanted to breastfeed for only 6 or 7 months, because I was going to be going back to, like, what's it called, in-person school. I don't want to be breastfeeding, like, you know, while I'm in school. So I was only going to breastfeed for that long, but I'm going to still be doing at-home learning, like virtual school. So I was like, I could just breastfeed him for an entire year up until he's 1 year old. But if he grows teeth, you guys, and he's biting me, I might just have to quit. I might just have to wean him off, but I'm most likely not. Like, I see a lot of people who still breastfeed with their children when they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I'm like, if they could do it when their children have a whole mouthful of teeth, then I can just push a little bit longer, and just, you know, he'll just have to learn not to bite me. So I most likely will continue breastfeeding when he has teeth. Hopefully, I'll update you guys if I do. The next question is, have you tasted your milk? You guys, I think I tasted my milk like 2 months later. Like, when he was 2 months old, I finally tasted my milk. It just tastes like almond milk. Like, it tastes like almond milk, but a little bit sweeter. So yeah, I tasted my milk a couple of times actually. The next question is, what's the difference between breast milk and formula? So the difference between breast milk and formula basically is that formula is like the man-made version of breast milk. Like, they try to copy breast milk, you know, for babies to eat, and there's no antibodies in formula. So you know how they're like, oh, you need to feed your baby the breast milk because it gives them those antibodies. people, you know, who don't feed their baby those antibodies, their child's immune system is like weaker, and so they get sicker easily and all that. So yeah, breast milk has antibodies and formula doesn't. The next question is, what are the benefits of breastfeeding? So to make sure that I give you guys all the correct information and the best information, I looked up all the benefits, and I just wanted to read you guys this really quickly. So for one, it creates a strong bond between the baby and mom, which is very true. Breastfed babies get sick less and have lower risk of allergies. It's easier to digest. They will have a lower risk of obesity and type 1 and 2 diabetes, lower incidence of SIDS. They're on a path to optimal brain development, which is like they'll have a higher IQ when they get older, basically. They get substances that help strengthen and develop their immune system in no way no other substance can. They respond better to immunizations, just a whole bunch of, I'm not going to read all of them. Enhanced performance on cognitive development tests. And then there's also benefits for the mother who's breastfeeding. It decreases breast cancer risk, can decrease the risk of ovarian and uterine cancer. Mothers who breastfeed show less postpartum depression because breastfeeding triggers the release of oxytocin, which is the love hormone, and substances that help with relaxation and reduce stress. It helps you burn extra calories, which makes it easier to lose weight after pregnancy. It helps your uterus return to its normal size. I'm not going to read all the questions, you guys. Oh, but the last one is that it's free. Breastfeeding is free. Formula is expensive. Like, I be in the store looking at the prices and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I breastfeed, because what? Like, I would not have no money for myself if I was formula feeding. The next question is, do you pump and store milk? I used to pump and store milk when my supply was a little bit higher, but my supply decreased a lot. Like, I had so much milk, but I decided to put cabbage on them because, y'all, like, my breasts are so small, and so when they were filling up with milk, like, I had no more room for any more milk. Like, it was just so much milk. It was painful because of like the engorgement of the amount of milk. And so I decided to put cabbage on my breast, and cabbage basically like dries up your milk. So I just put it on my breast just for a little bit, like 30 minutes a day for like 2 or 3 days. And then like it kind of lessened my supply a little bit so that it wasn't so much engorgement. And so soon after that, my milk regulated. And that's basically when like your breasts know exactly how much your baby needs. And so it only produces the amount your baby needs. Yeah, even after that, I was still able to save like, I would always have like 2 bags of milk in the freezer, but it got really low to the point where I actually had to supplement. One of the questions is, do you strictly breastfeed or do you supplement with formula? I supplemented with formula for I think a whole week straight because my supply got so low that it wasn't enough for him. And so I had to supplement with formula just for a week, and after that I didn't go back to it. So yeah, I used to store milk, but now my supply is really, well, it's not really low, but it's just enough for Sincere, so I don't store milk anymore. But I still do pump. I only pump once a day now. Like, I was pumping twice a day before, but now I only pump once a day at nighttime, so I know he gets a full feeding before sleep, so I can get a little bit of sleep. All right, y'all, I'm back. I had to go get Sincere. My mom done put this big old onesie on him. He cannot fit this. It's too loose. See, I can't fit this. Anyways, do you feel like breastfeeding keeps you in the house? So I used to feel like breastfeeding kept me in the house. Well, I wasn't really going anywhere, but when I did go somewhere, it would be like, you know, before I go, I have to think like, am I able to breastfeed here? Because I wasn't really comfortable with breastfeeding in public at the time. But now, like, y'all, I breastfeed in the mall. I breastfeed at the lake. I'm going to show you guys how, because somebody also asked, how do I run errands and breastfeed, and what are ways people can breastfeed in public? So I'm sure you guys have seen this before. Like, it's just a scarf that you can wrap it around yourself, you know, just one of these scarves. I have 2 of these. I have a gray one that's in his diaper bag that I use the most, and then I have this. And so what I do is, let me just show you guys. I get the thing, put it over me and Sincere, and then I cover him and I cover myself. This one is a little bit see-through because it's black, but you know, you won't be able to see anything. Hold up. And then I just breastfeed. Sincere's trying to look. Y'all can see him. Sincere. Yeah, I just breastfeed him like this. Like, I just pull my boob out, put it in his mouth, and then feed him. Well, it looks really big and like weird. It does not look like this, y'all. It'd be like, I'm sorry, baby, one more second. It's more like this. Okay, he don't want to be in there. I'm sorry, baby. I do have a thicker one that's like not see-through at all, but I prefer to use the lighter one because it's thinner and it won't get hot, and it's getting hot, so you know, using a thicker one is just not what I want to do. So yeah, that's how I breastfeed in public. Sometimes, like, depending on where I'm at, I would go in the car and breastfeed. But if I can't go to the car, then I would just, you know, breastfeed him right then and there. So yeah, it's not very hard. It's pretty simple. You just have to get comfortable with it. The next question is, do you feel like it can be messy like Squirt when he unlatches? Yes, it's actually really messy when breastfeeding. Like when he unlatches, like, and the milk has let down, the milk is just squirting everywhere. Like it just starts squirting. And so like you have to get the hang of it, and then it won't be messy anymore. So before, like, the milk would be going everywhere, but I learned to, like, whenever I have a letdown or whenever he unlatches, I quickly like put my hand over my boob or like put my bra up really quickly so that the milk doesn't get everywhere, but it's still gonna, you know, get everywhere or get. Are you hungry? Like, why do you have your mouth open, baby? Anyways, yeah, so breastfeeding is pretty messy sometimes. I think he's hungry. Like, he's opening his mouth up. I might have to breastfeed him, y'all. I might have to breastfeed my baby in the breastfeeding Q&A. I think he's hungry. I have on a maternity bra, so I have to, like, unlatch it. And I really recommend those for breastfeeding mothers. Anyways, yeah, he was hungry, I think. Y'all could hear him all smacking. Somebody asked, can I show me breastfeeding him? This is basically it. I just pull the boob out and feed him. Sincere, what are you doing? Y'all, I might have to wait a little bit because Sincere's a loud eater. He smacks and all that. All right, y'all, we're back. Now let me continue with these questions. How did I manage leaking? Basically, I just wore nipple pads for the first month, and then after that, after my milk regulated, it was never really leaking. But when I did have a letdown in public, like when all my milk came down, I just hold my nipples down so that no milk comes out until it goes away. Like until the letdown goes away. Y'all, Sincere got some stuff to say. Go ahead and tell them. What else? Okay, if you guys hear playing, that's Sincere and his bouncer. Hold up, he's so cute. Okay, yeah, now I just hold my breast when a letdown happens so that no milk comes out. And I sometimes still do, like, if my breasts are really full. I'm so sorry, you guys. Sincere is just really loud. Okay, guys, I finally put Sincere to sleep. He is sleeping in his crib right now. I don't know if you guys can see him. Yeah, he's right there. Anyways, I'm going to talk a little bit lower just to make sure I don't wake him up. He probably won't wake up anyways because he's really tired, but I'm just going to talk a little bit lower. So the next question is, do your nipples or have your nipples cracked? In the beginning, yes, because, you know, well, first of all, when you first start breastfeeding, or like when you breastfeed in general, your nipples have to build like a tough layer around them that can, you know, stand the sucking, the constant sucking. So they crack, but they heal. Like they crack because they're not used to all that, and it's like sucking with like saliva is drying your nipple out kind of, so it does crack. But what helps with that is lanolin balm. I can't find mine. I have no idea where I put it. But when you start breastfeeding, like if you breastfeed in the hospital, ask them to give you lanolin balm. They should have some. If not, buy some before you have the baby, because it's like this thick, I don't know, it's like thick gel, and like you put on your nipple and it kind of heals it. And get the one that it says like breast, it's like baby something, that like when you breastfeed later, like you don't have to wipe it off or anything, that your baby can breastfeed like kind of with it on, I guess. So yeah, lanolin balm helps with cracked nipples. I never experienced the bleeding nipples, like it never got that bad because I started using nipple shields. I forgot to mention nipple shields. I started using nipple shields probably when he was like 4 or 5 days old, and so that kind of stopped them from getting too dry or stopped them from cracking too much to where they bleed. So I never went through bleeding nipples, but I did kind of go through cracked nipples. The next question is, are your nipples sore after pumping? In the beginning, yes, but actually no. You just have to lower it to a level of suction that doesn't hurt, because it's like 5 levels usually. Just lower it to like a 2. I keep it at a 2, and then sometimes I go to a 3 or 4. But you know, a 2 is really good for me. But sometimes, like if it is painful, then you just use it on the 1. But pumping isn't painful. It isn't painful. It should not be painful. Just lower the level. Some people say it helps lose your stomach after birth. Is that true? It actually does. When you have a baby, your uterus, you know, stretches so it's really big. It helps your uterus go back down, which helps your stomach go back down. And then after a while, like since you burn calories while breastfeeding, like it is gonna make you lose the weight that you gain. Like I lost the weight that I gained probably, like I was probably back to, well, I haven't got back to my pre-pregnancy size, and I don't think I will, but I've been the same weight since he was probably about 2 months. So yeah, my stomach hasn't snapped back, but my body did. So yeah, I think breastfeeding does help you lose your stomach and help you lose that weight that you gained during pregnancy. Someone said, I was wondering if you would use a portable breast pump, or do you already? I might as well just show you guys. This is what my old breast pump, it still works and everything, but well, actually, let me just tell you a little quick story. So I was using this breast pump ever since it was born, and so I love this pump so much. This is the Spectra breast pump. I love this pump so much. I was using it all the time. It was just perfect. It was amazing. It's pretty big, so you can't like, you know, move around with it. Like I would always sit it on my desk, and then like I'm pumping like right here with the things on my lap. I took it like to LA and I took it to Vegas, so you can take it places, you can travel with it, but you can't like walk around your room or walk around your house with it because it's really big. But y'all, there was like a really tiny bug crawling on it, and so I got spray and I started spraying it, and it like got really hot and it kind of broke. Well, it only broke for like 3 days, and then I plugged it in again to see if it'll work, and it was working. Like if I plug it in right now, it'll work, you know. But since it was broken, I had to still pump, and so I started using this other pump that I had. It's way smaller. You can put this in your pocket, you can take it anywhere you want. This is a portable pump, and this is the Hygia, and this one is actually a little bit better, honestly. Well, I just feel like it's better because it goes smoother and you can just go anywhere. Like the Spectra pump is pretty expensive. It's like $80 or something. This one, I'm pretty sure it doesn't cost that much, so I recommend a little small portable pump. But the Spectra pump is really good too, so yeah. The next question is, what do you eat to increase your supply? And there's also another question that kind of goes with that. Hold on. It says, how do you make sure you eat enough to keep your milk supply up? Somebody also asks, does it make you eat a lot? So breastfeeding actually does make me eat a lot. In the beginning, I wasn't eating that much. Like I didn't have that much of an appetite. Like some days I will only eat 2 meals, and you know that affects your milk supply if you're not eating enough. But I noticed that the more he eats, the more I eat. So when he was younger, he was only eating a little bit, and so I didn't have that big of an appetite. I was only eating a little bit, but as he started eating more and more and more and sucking more nutrients out of me, I started eating more and more and more. So he eats a lot right now, so I eat a lot right now, but I just have a big appetite. Before, I would kind of force myself to eat that 3 meals, but I don't do anything. Well, actually, I've been drinking this drink called Body Armor. I've seen like a bunch of people saying sports drinks helps with your milk supply, and when my milk supply was really low, I started drinking sports drinks. I wanted to try the Mother's Tea, and I wanted to try other things. I actually tried Fenugreek supplements. If you guys see Fenugreek, well, it didn't work for me. It actually, I feel like, first of all, it made Sincere really gassy. Like it was making his stomach so upset, so I stopped taking it. But I kind of feel like it decreased my supply a little bit. So the Fenugreek supplements didn't work for me. I wanted to try Mother's Tea, but I haven't, and I don't think I need to anymore because, you know, my milk supply is good enough for him. But yeah, I just eat a lot. Like I have a big appetite, so I eat about I'm gonna be honest with you guys, some days I eat 4 meals. Some days I eat 4 meals, and if I don't eat 4 meals, then I eat like 2 snacks in between those meals. But majority of the days I only eat 3 meals and then just like a snack or 2 in between. But yesterday I had 4 meals, and that's why I haven't lost this belly. That's exactly why. But I can't help it, like I have a big appetite. Is it healthy to breastfeed a baby if he or she is 10 months? Breastfeeding benefits go all the way up until 2 years. Like it benefits the child, it benefits the baby all the way up until 2 years old. So yes, it's still good for you to breastfeed if your baby is 10 months old. Are you always going to exclusively breastfeed or do half boob, half bottle? So currently I breastfeed and then I give him 1 tablespoon of oatmeal a day. Another person asked, is it only breast milk you are giving him or supplementing with baby food? He's 5 months right now. I started giving him oatmeal, like 1 tablespoon of oatmeal. I think I was giving him half a tablespoon of oatmeal, like right when he turned 4 months, in his bottles at night, because I just feel like he was ready for like baby cereal or baby oatmeal, like something heavier for his stomach, because he was not sleeping through the night at all. He still is not sleeping through the night at all. Well, he doesn't sleep through the night yet. He's 5 months old. And so just to, you know, get me some sleep, I started putting a little bit of oatmeal in his bottles at night so that he can sleep a little bit longer. And then once he was like 4.5 months, I started feeding him the oatmeal like through a spoon in a bowl. So I just give him 1 tablespoon of oatmeal a day. I don't have it in my room, but yeah. So I breastfeed and give him 1 tablespoon of oatmeal a day. The next question is it okay to breastfeed on only one breast? Absolutely not. No. no, unless you're okay with having one breast big and one small, because if you breastfeed on only one breast, this one is going to continuously get filled up with milk, it's going to be bigger, and the other one is going to have no milk and it's going to be smaller. Like when I breastfeed Sincere off of one breast too often or too much, or like more than the other one, they're uneven, and so you have to really balance it in order for your breasts to stay even. You have to feed them off this one, and the next time feed them off that one, and this, you know, you gotta be even with it. And then another question is, do you nurse to sleep? I kind of do. Like, I'm gonna show you guys me and Sincere's night routine really soon, but I feed him his oatmeal at around 8 or 9 p.m. and then whenever he's hungry after that, I just continuously breastfeed until he's good for the night, until he's full enough to go to sleep. So I kind of do nurse to sleep, because when he does wake up, like around 1, I would breastfeed him and put him right back to sleep. So yeah, kinda. And then that was the last question, but I remember that I asked you guys on my community tab to ask questions too, so I have a couple more questions to answer. So someone said, how often do you breastfeed your baby? I'm honestly not sure. I never counted how many feedings he had a day. When he was in the hospital, they kind of made me, like, I would count how many times I fed him in the hospital, but after that I never kept track or anything, so I'm not sure. But probably like every 3 hours now. It used to be every 2 to 3 hours, but now it's like every 3 hours. Is pain normal during breastfeeding? It's normal in the beginning, but honestly, you guys, if it's really painful, that means the baby is not latching correctly, because if the baby latches over your entire areola, or like majority of your areola, it will not be as much pain. So if your baby is only sucking on your nipple, please break the latch and have like him or her open their mouth more to really get a good grip, or else it's gonna hurt. Because if it's just the nipple, it hurts, but if it's more of the areola, then it will not hurt as bad. So if your areola or like your whole nipple is still hurting, it may be because of the way the baby is latching. How do you keep your baby awake during feeding? When Sincere was a newborn, it was kind of hard to keep him awake, because babies just sleep when they're newborns. So I would just like play with his cheek, or play with his toes, or play with his hair to keep him awake, just little things like that. But now he's awake the entire time. Now he's up, kicking, playing, grabbing me, all kinds of stuff. Someone said, do you feel any painful sensation in your leg while breastfeeding? No. I don't know what that is. Do you have a separate fridge to store breast milk? No. When I was storing breast milk, it was in my freezer, but I had this little breast milk storing thing to where I could like stack the milk in it. That's really convenient if you have enough milk to store, but I don't have enough milk to store. What benefits do you experience in breastfeeding personally? You guys, I love breastfeeding so much, because at nighttime when he wakes up, or if I'm really exhausted during the day, whatever, I can literally I can lay down, and he could just lay down right alongside of me and just breastfeed, and I could just like close my eyes, rest my eyes, and feed him. If you like bottle feed, formula feed, like you gotta sit up, hold the baby up, hold the bottle. Like breastfeeding, like if he wakes up in the middle of the night to breastfeed, I lay down. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna try to put up a picture to explain to you guys what, like, how it is, because I don't know how to explain it, but it's the best thing ever. The best thing ever. Like, first, you can't do it when they're a newborn because they're too small, and like I don't know if they can reach the boob yet, but once they're like 3-4 months, oh yeah, and another thing, newborns, they spit up a lot, and so if you lay your baby down right after they've eaten, they're gonna throw it up, or most likely they're gonna throw it up. So I couldn't do that until like he stopped doing that, which was around like 3 to 4 months. I was able to lay him down while eating and after he's eating. So he just lays on his side, I lay on my side, and he just breastfeeds. And I love that so much, because I can just close my eyes and he could just drink his milk. Some people might say that's dangerous. Oh, you're gonna roll over on your baby. I'm not gonna roll over on my son. Did you have a milk supply before giving birth, or did it just start flowing after birth? Before I started pumping, I really recommend this. I started pumping, I think like a week or 2 before I had Sincere, because for one, it brings contractions, and I really wanted to have him, and so I feel like by me pumping, it helped my supply come. Like when I would pump, nothing would come out. Probably like 2 or 3 drops of colostrum would come out, but no milk. After I had him, you have colostrum first, and so it's like not much, because babies don't need much. Probably about 4 days after I had him is when my real milk started coming in, like the white milk started coming in. So no, your milk doesn't just like, you know, fill up after you have the baby, but you do have colostrum after you have the baby. And so yeah. Do you give him store-bought formula, or which do you prefer, breast milk or formula? Definitely breast milk. I would not recommend formula at all, because if there's just no benefits to formula feeding. Like, I literally looked it up. I looked up what are the benefits of formula feeding, because there's all these benefits of breastfeeding. There's gotta be at least one benefit. There was no benefits of formula feeding. I was like, wow. But I just feel like, I don't know, people throw that fed is best around so much that, you know, people just think that breastfeeding and formula feeding is the same thing. Like, it's equal, and not many people are doing things like this, like making videos on breastfeeding. People think it's nasty to breastfeed. People think like, oh, you shouldn't breastfeed in public. Like, it's just like this big confusion. No, breastfeeding is amazing. Like, it's amazing for you and for your child. Like, back in the day, formula feeding was not this popular, and in other countries they just breastfeed. They don't feed with bottles, they don't feed with formula. Like, I don't know, it's kind of confusing, because it's like, what is so wrong about breastfeeding that majority of people formula feed and like a small percentage of people breastfeed? Oh, and then somebody else asked, I don't know where the question went, but somebody asked, how do I do it? How do I breastfeed and I'm 15 years old? You guys, it's literally the exact same thing. Like, it's me breastfeeding is the exact same thing as a 30-year-old breastfeeding. Like, I don't know, it's the same. Well, to me it's the same thing. Like, my milk came the exact same way. My body was ready to produce milk because I had my baby, and I don't know, I guess it's my maturity, I guess, because like not a lot of teen moms breastfeed. Like, majority of teen moms choose to formula feed, so it could be maturity, could be, I don't know. I never ever thought of formula feeding. Like, my mother breastfed all her children, so I was like, I'm gonna breastfeed all my children. I never even like considered formula. Like, I'm not trying to bash people who do formula feed, because it's completely fine. Some women cannot breastfeed. Some women never produce milk. Some women, you know, their baby doesn't latch, or they have inverted nipples. So, you know, I understand that not everybody can breastfeed, but for the people who can breastfeed, I really recommend you to formula feed. Someone said, do I do anything to keep up my supply, and was it easy for Sincere to keep a good latch even while being bottle fed as well? Like I said earlier, Sincere does not care what it is. Pass it for a bottle, different types of bottle, nipple, he doesn't care. He's gonna suck on it, he's gonna eat it, he's gonna latch well on it. So it was pretty easy for him to latch. And to keep my supply up, I have to, well, before I felt like I needed to pump in order to keep my supply up, and honestly, pumping keeps your supply up. Pumping encourages like your breast to produce more milk, because I pump for 30 minutes, no less than 30 minutes, because I need my supply up. And so pumping, I feel like it helps your supply, because when you breastfeed, you're only breastfeeding on one for like what, 15 minutes, but when you're pumping on both, so your breast is thinking, oh, both need to produce milk, okay, I'm gonna produce more milk. So yeah, I pump to keep my supply up, but now I only pump once a day, and he breastfeeds the rest of the time. I'm gonna give you guys a couple of tips, but I want to let you guys know right now, I may have made it seem like, oh, breastfeeding is easy. Breastfeeding is not easy at all. Like, if you are pregnant right now and you're planning on breastfeeding, this is what you got to do. Just set it in your mind, I want to breastfeed. Don't have it in your mind like, I'm gonna breastfeed, but if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna formula feed. No, have it set in your mind, I'm going to breastfeed. If anybody asks you, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna breastfeed, I'm gonna breastfeed, I'm gonna breastfeed. Have it set in your mind that you want to breastfeed, so that when your baby comes, you're set, like, I'm gonna breastfeed. If it starts hurting, I'm gonna keep breastfeeding. You know, you gotta have it set in your mind that that's what you want to do. And don't go buying a whole bunch of formula, like, just in case. Well, I didn't buy formula, but my doctor's office gave me formula, and I kept it just in case I needed it, and I actually did end up needing it. So if it's in your mind like, I'm gonna just get a little bit of formula just in case my supply gets low, I definitely think, you know, you can do that, but don't buy a bunch of formula like, oh, it might be too painful, so I'm just gonna switch. So I'm just gonna give you guys some tips on, you know, breastfeeding in general. So the first tip I want to give you guys is to pump before you have your child. Start pumping like a week or two before you expect them, just like 10-15 minutes on each breast every couple of hours, or just even a day, because it's gonna toughen up your nipples a little bit, so when you do start breastfeeding, it's not gonna hurt as bad. So I recommend pumping before. It also stimulates contractions, so don't be surprised if you go into labor. I didn't go into labor from pumping, but I mean, it says it can, but it never happened for me, and I was pumping a lot. I also recommend nipple shields. Those things are lifesavers, but it is a little bit hard to get the baby off the nipple shields. Like, if you're using the nipple shields every single day for every feeding, then the baby's gonna get used to the plastic and not latch onto your real nipple. It's kind of hard for me to get Sincere back on my real nipple, but if you like use it here and there, then I'm sure, you know, it'll be fine. Sincere, what are some tips that we can give them for breastfeeding? This is the best tip I can give you guys. If you want a whole bunch of milk stored up in the freezer, when your milk first comes and it's a lot of milk, I recommend you to pump it all out and store it. don't like pump too much because it's gonna keep coming back. And like if you feel like it's so much engorgement, I recommend you to pump, but don't pump it all out. Just keep pumping some of it in like breastfeeding. But if you have like smaller breasts, that might be a little bit hard because you don't have as much space for milk. But yeah, I recommend you to pump that milk out and store it. I really wish I would have done that instead of putting cabbage on my breast and just only breastfeeding him. I wish I would have pumped the milk out because my supply will be better, because my breast would know that that's how much he drinks. My breast would continue making all that milk, but I didn't. I recommend you to pump too. I don't know, because I rather just strictly breastfeeding now instead of pumping. Anyways, you guys, that's basically the end of this video. I answered all your questions. I hope this video was not too long. Yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I encouraged some of you guys to breastfeed. I hope I gave you guys some knowledge that you didn't have before. Sincere, do you want to say anything to them? Want to say anything? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for my upcoming videos. And I will see you guys in my next video.